on, everybody? Welcome to Friday. We made it through another week. Awesome. Good job. We did amazing this week. How is everybody doing out there? Darren, I see you're here. We got DB, and so Stephanie says is in our comments. That's just amazing that she's there. That's a coincidence. Happy Friday. We're here. We got our coffee. Hopefully, you got your coffee or your favorite beverage. But I'm RodeoBo, and this is Friday Live, and we do this show mostly Fridays, 3:30 Central Time. We do it on Central Time because that is the central time of everything. We revolve around Central Time. Hello, Beverly. How's everybody doing out there? I forgot to remind you today, Beverly. Good thing you're here. So yeah, we've got a lot going on here at Conde, and we're doing a whole bunch of stuff here. We do have some stuff, if you ever want to reach out to me, you can email me, bo@conde.com, right down there. That is my email address. You can email me anything. I like talking about stuff, sublimation, the white toner, DTG, DTF, all those sort of things. And yeah. So there's that. We've got a lot of great products, One I've been highlighting is the Color Light Glass, the CSK technology. That's Color Science Keepsake. It's out of this world. You should check it out and try it. Another thing we have is we do have a new product here, and it is the DTF sublimation oven. I don't know if this will work for us. It's the sublimation oven. It's 36 liters, which I believe is 1.4 cubic feet, which is like 1/4 of the size of your kitchen oven. So it's a pretty big space in there. It can fit 6 skinny tumblers, as you can see in that picture there. But yeah, it's a great tumbler, or it's a great option to up your game with that. It also comes with its own heat gun, just like this one here. Yeah, it's great. I check it out, Conde.com. We've got it on there. And what else do we got going on? We've got a lot of products here at Conde. Something I'm very excited about is that we offer Siser products, and we are working on getting more Siser products. I'm really excited to get the Siser PSV, that's pressure sensitive vinyl, up on our site. I've been sending those out to the web guys and all of them to get that going and rocking. And but yeah, today we're going to be talking about Siser heat transfer vinyl, mostly HTV. We're going to have Stephanie on here. She's an expert. She's going to be, I believe, cutting with the Juliet cutter, and she knows all of those things. So yeah, let's bring Stephanie on. Here she is. Everybody, welcome Stephanie. Oh no! Hi guys, there's Stephanie in full
I was
view.
just say, where'd you go, Bo? Don't leave me. Bo, whenever we get to do lives together, it feels like we get to just hang out in our living room. We do such a great job. We know each other, we love each other, and I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, we are. We're going to talk about HTV. And did you ever think that hobbies would start sounding like, you know, PhDs in science? We have I always kind of thought of initials as like doctors. You had your PhD, you had your MD. Now we have HTV, heat transfer
When
vinyl, PSV,
when I
DTF, DTG.
when I was in college, you had to write your papers a certain way, and I don't know the other ways, but there was MLA was one of the
Mhm.
standards you had to write it in,
Right.
and I would always ask the teacher if we had to write it in MLB because
Yeah.
I'm a baseball person, and those are the 3 letters I can remember.
Well, we are going to talk about HTV and sublimation today. And I love doing things a little bit outside the box. It's my person, you know me. It's my personality. Some that are watching, they know my personality. And I thought I would show something a little bit different today.
Can I
So,
can I say something before you go ahead and start?
oh,
Stephanie, if that's okay. So I don't know if you noticed, people, but I've moved my desk, my setup, and I have this behind me now. And What's awesome about this is usually it's very hot when I'm doing a live because I have a heat press next to me going and everything, but actually the air conditioner is blowing on me here, so that's a little welcoming present to me, and I love this, and thank you, Stephanie, for coming on here and, doing most of the work for me on this,
You
you
know,
know?
I try every once in a while, and it's funny. You just said heat press, and I realized I need to turn my heat press back on because I had turned it off earlier because it is
I have an alarm that
hot.
comes on at 3 o'clock that reminds me, and today I was like, "Not today, heat press, I don't need you."
Yeah, so we're gonna have to chat while mine gets back up to temperature. But we're good at chatting.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought,
So, and heat transfer vinyl's hot. I mean, it's a great product, I think. I forgot I was gonna actually grab something, and I have a pair of bicycle shorts that I used to run, swim, and bike in, and they have been
right?
washed, I would say, 1,000 times. I wore them every single day. I washed them, and there's still heat transfer vinyl on there, and you can still read
Yeah.
what it says.
I feel like we have a very lasting product, and you know that. So when we say things have so many washings, and you'll see your first signs of wear and tear at 62 washings or whatever we say, we actually have a washer and dryer in the break room. So things get made, it gets washed, it gets dried, it gets washed, it gets dried, and we document it. So it's not even that we arbitrarily come up with a number. We actually sit there and do the work ourselves so that we
Well,
can see.
I know personally firsthand that your washer and dryer are labeled with pressure sensitive vinyl. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I also know that the washer is labeled dryer and the dryer is labeled washer. So it's very confusing. One of my first jobs in this industry was doing the wash testing on new products at your facility. And one of the things I think is the greatest about Caesar is not only is the product amazing, but everybody behind the product is amazing. Oh, I'm going to shout out Johan and David. Dave, they were the people that brought me into this industry, and thank you. You wouldn't have me without them. But the whole Caesar team is just amazing. The customer support, the ordering, everybody is.
I agree. And it's not just because I'm part of the team. I thought that before I was part of the team. We have great partners. So even like me joining you today with Conde, we have great partners, and we really have great people that watch our lives. You and I were talking as we see names. So for those of you that are watching, if you don't know, it means everything to us. So thank you so much for taking time to watch the lives and to get that information and to even ask more questions. That's what we're here for. That's why we do content. That's why we do lives. Is so this is your chance to really ask if you have something. So I always say there's not a stupid question. We all know there is a stupid question somehow, but you're not going to be the one that asks it. I
I
promise.
I sometimes have to ask a question so it comes out of my mouth and into my ears to my brain to be like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, that is dumb."
So like I said, there is a dumb question. I just never think that people ask them. Usually I just kind of think it and walk through it before it ever comes out. But I love what we get to do. I love our cutter. So I'm going to talk about Juliet today. I love Romeo. I love Juliet. I have to say I give Juliet more of my love, and it's because of her size. So I have a 5 foot work desk, and Juliet is here, laptop is here, and then we have heat press. So that
Well,
way everything,
especially for doing lives and for our
yeah.
business, like the Romeo's a little bit large and long. Like if it was back
Mhm.
here, I could do it, but up here, I need something bite-sized,
Yeah,
which is awesome about the Juliet is that it is travel. It is a travel worthy
mhm,
companion. I have a hard time because I feel like the smaller one should come first in the list of things, and I have to
right.
remember that the Juliet is the small one.
Just think of she's the petite girl.
Yeah.
So for those that are not familiar with Romeo and Juliet, that they are our electronic cutters. Juliet is a 12-inch cutter and Romeo is a 24-inch cutter. And when
And
I
it
say
cuts
it's a
24
12-inch
inches, right?
cutter, huh?
They cut I mean, they go, what is it, like 12.25 you can get in there, but you can, like I'm trying to say, you can
13,
cut You can cut
13.2
12-inch
typically.
and
Yeah.
24-inch.
So it will cut a true 12-inch. That was what yes. So it's a little over 13 inches that Juliet will cut and a little over 25 inches for Romeo. So that way you can go from one side of the vinyl to the other side of the vinyl. And that's important because if you're doing something like making a pinstripe, you don't want to have to take an X-Acto knife to cut that last little smidge because your cutter did not go from one side to the other. So it's,
Vinyl cutters are not scary at all, I would say.
mm-mm.
Like, I don't know if you could possibly even hurt yourself with one of those, like, I'm sure you can, and I don't want to say it, but
Yeah, it'd be hard, it'd be hard.
the cutting mechanism is in there pretty good, and there's no way you're going to cut a finger off or something like using a circular saw or something like that.
So I'm actually going to get the blade out to say,
Here,
so, this is our housing for our blade. So Romeo and Juliet comes with two 45-degree blades and one 60-degree blade. And then we also have other blades. We have a deep cut blade and we have an etch and creasing tool that goes in the cutter also. But the housing it's not cheap plastic, it's heavy and it's built to last. And the blade, you just barely have it poking through and you have control. So you can change the force right on the machine. So that way you get to tweak it and you don't have to remember, and you can set it in the computer right here in the machine. I can tell it that I'm cutting cardstock. I can type the word cardstock, save that setting. Next time I want to use it, it's already pre-built into Juliet or Romeo. I love
Stephanie.
having those commands.
Stephanie, you just reminded me of something. I just like a month ago got my new driver's license in the mail,
Mm-hmm.
and I generally say credit card because credit cards, um, they're pretty standard. So
Not anymore.
credit card thickness is what you want to set your blade to. But then the real answer is you want to set it to a driver's license
Right.
thickness.
I agree.
And I got my driver's license last month, and it's like half the thickness of my old one. So I don't know if I can use that anymore.
I well see to me, credit cards, if you've got that kind that don't even flex, those
Oh,
platinums and things, they're thick, thick. I say you want it to be, the depth of what you're cutting. And I don't adjust mine. I don't sit there and cut things. I take mine out. I have a blade just for cardstock. I have a blade for fabric, and then I have a blade for vinyl. I
so
do
you can
that
set it
because
up with I'm sorry, what is the thing the blade goes in again? It's the holder.
the
Is there a
blade
special name?
housing,
Yeah,
blade
the blade
housing.
housing. You can have a special blade housing that all you have to do is change the
Yeah,
blade housing,
yeah.
right?
I just changed these out. So I typically have written, my other one says fabric. This one doesn't have anything because I've been filming and I didn't want ink all over it, but I typically have one that says fabric, one that says card, and one that says V for vinyl. And I do these, because it just saves the life. And Chuck, we've always said half of a credit card until we've started seeing some of these new credit cards that are so, I mean, they're thick, thick. You couldn't use them, if you lock yourself out of the house, you can't use that to jimmy the door open because they're really thick. So I think, you look at the depth of what you're going to be cutting. I like the different housings, Alice. It helps me not have to take things in and out and tweak the blade. I have it set. This is the one that I use for fabric. Anybody that's watching that has fabric scissors, you do not use those for anything else. It's just for fabric. I feel the same way about my blade. I want that blade just to cut fabric. And Juliet does a great job cutting, well, Romeo also. They both do a great job of cutting fabric and cutting cardstock. I'm always going to push it to the limit to see what I can get it to do. Magnets have been my new thing that I've been playing with. So cutting magnets out of magnet sheets.
How thick are the
We,
magnets sheets?
I knew you would ask me that, something technical. It's about this big. I would grab them, but they're not in this room. It's like a regular when you buy a business card with the magnet on the back of it, that kind. So I do a 2
So
cut to go through
I've
it.
been looking to source sublimatable vinyl. I think I have it, and there's also some that might work with eco solvent, but they're
Mhm.
like the stickers that go on. I'm sorry, the vinyl, the magnet that goes on like construction vehicles and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I would say it's 10 millimeters thick right now, but I'm not sure either. But I never thought about cutting it in a vinyl cutter.
Well, to me, I just do it on I love the software because it just you can click and tell it that you want to 2 or 3 or 4 cut something. You can also change your file around if you want it to kiss cut one part and then totally cut on another. You don't have to have a mat, which is phenomenal. You can load your vinyl from the front of the machine or the back of the machine. So if I have a 5 yarder, I can put it behind my cutter and pull it in, cut, and then the vinyl's ready for the next cut. Or you can load it from the front. You can put pieces of scrap of vinyl, doesn't have to be a full sheet, and you can use any mat. And I'm actually not going to use a Siser mat just to prove that today when we're talking, because you can use any mat. And we know you may have had another cutter, so use that mat. We don't. Juliet is so great;
You
she
should
doesn't
always
care.
go to Conde.com and buy the Caesar mat bundle.
Okay, but what if you had a scanning cut or a silhouette or a cricket before? I don't want you to have to throw those mats away. I want you to be able to use them, and you can because we don't care. Juliet's not picky. She just says, bring it on, and she will do the work.
Awesome. Have
Let's
you
talk
tried
about
we
what
have Alice asking about sublilinen, and I know me and you talked about sublilinen the other day. Have you ever tried to cut it in the
I have. Yes, I have cut it, and I did it on a 2 cut. And the reason is it cut it great the first time. It was just a couple of those little lines of, linen. I could have sat there and kind of tweaked it, but I did a 2 cut with it.
you use the
And
45-degree blade or the 60?
I use a 45 because typically if I'm cutting fabric, I'm not doing anything intricate. I'm cutting kind of basic shapes. Maybe I'm cutting letters for applique. Maybe I'm cutting for key fobs. So I'm not doing very intricate shapes. 2 different ways that I typically use. I typically do fabric with freezer paper on top and bottom and heat press it together. And that way it stabilizes by fabric. I put it on a mat and then I cut. So that's how I like to cut fabric. If I'm going to use it for applique, I will put either Siser Easy Weed adhesive on the back of it or a Heat and Bond Light.
So
And
we got Miriam on here, and she's saying that it's annoying when she thinks it's great because she thinks it's annoying when people just push their own propriety
yeah.
products. And I'm saying all you can cut in that is sublilinen. So come to Conde.com and get all your sublilinen, okay?
Plug your ears. You can cut, you can cut. And I
Oh, and,
feel that
another thing you can do with it is you can put writing utensils in there, like markers. I know that
mhm.
there's sublimation markers. Can you just put like a standard pen in there?
You can put Bic pen. It's the Bic, it's the Bic thin Sharpie is what fits in there. And I've done several videos to show it, but it's the Bic, it's a thin, it's a thin Sharpie. And I draw with mine. Siser also has sublimation markers. So of course I put those in there. And the pen holder comes with the machine. So that way it's not something that you have to buy extra. It comes with the machine. I love drawing stuff. I'm creative, but I am not an artist to be able to draw. So I love being able to create things. I have not great penmanship, so I even use it to sign my signature. And that was how I traced my signature, was to be able to have the pen be able to do it for me. So lots of things that you can do with it besides cutting vinyl. And one of the things that I love that Barium said that so many people will ask, can they cut, like if they have a cricket, they'll ask, can I use Siser vinyl on it? And I'm like, yes, I promise your cutter does not know what brand you're using, except for it will cut better because it is Siser. But
So
I love, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say you brought that up, and I've never really talked about this. One of my first jobs besides washing at Caesar was also coming up with the cut settings for
Mhm.
all of the Cricut machines, the Silhouette machines, and the Brother machines, and, I thought that Cricut looked cool at first, and this isn't, pushing anything onto Caesar. I absolutely hated those Cricut machines, and I think I
Mhm.
learned a lot from the hate that I got from those machines about, like, what I like in a cutter, what I like
Yep.
in customer support and everything, but Caesar does have all of the settings for all of the machines.
Mhm.
98% of them, 'em, we'll say, right? Not
Yeah.
all of them.
That's, so if somebody asks a cut setting, you can go to caesarna.com. And when you go there, you can go to HTV. When you click on it, it will tell you if you have a Cricut Air or a Maker or a Silhouette or a Graphtec or a Roland. We will show you cut settings, and we also tell you heat application settings if you're using an iron, a heat press, or an easy press. And
That's
for
the other
those of
thing I love
you,
about Caesar is that, they don't shy away from how easy it is to apply it, and that you don't need a commercial heat press to do it. You don't need a swing away commercial heat press. You can do it with any heat press. You can do it with your home iron, and you can also do it with a Cricut Easy Press type thing.
right? With
And
the
and I
easy
love that.
press, we do recommend that you up that temperature, 30 degrees typically. I highly recommend everybody spend, they're about $16 to get an infrared thermogun so that you can see what your heat press really is doing, to see what temperature your iron is, to see what temperature that Cricut Easy Press is. Just because it says it's 305 doesn't mean it's 305. So that's
You also
something
have to
that I
think about
recommend.
them. You also have to think about the material underneath it.
Mhm.
When you think about, I grew up in Detroit, and I've spent many, many winters, yeah, in Detroit, in cold concrete. No matter your boots and insulation, that concrete will go through your boots into your feet,
Mhm.
and it will suck the heat right out of you.
Yep.
And you need to think about that, when you're applying on like a stone granite countertop or something.
Right. And I don't think that people think about what they're pressing. And what's the first thing that we always say? Pre-press your garment. That way the garment's warm, you're getting the wrinkles out, you're getting the moisture out, you're tightening the weave of that garment, and you're making it warm and happy, ready for vinyl to go onto it. So yes, we always recommend pre-pressing. And that way, if it's a thick vinyl like brick, you already have your material warmed up, and it's going to start warming that vinyl as you heat from the top and then that warmth from the bottom. And Miriam says when her Cameo stops working, she's going to check out Caesar Cutters. So Miriam, I'll tell you, still am, I guess, yeah. I'm a licensed silhouette instructor, have taught silhouettes for almost 10 years now. I have taught brother scan and cuts. I have been very blessed to be able to teach on cruises and teach different cutters, but I absolutely love the cutter. And as Bo said, it was from working with all the other cutters and everyone at Caesar. Obviously, we work with cutters because the product that we use needs a cutter most of the time. So the cutter really was invented from everyone saying, I love this about I hate this about a cutter. I wish the cutter had this. I hate all of those ideas really created this masterpiece of a machine. And I highly recommend it because of a few things. I love the quietness, and I haven't used the Silhouette 5 very much. The 4 I absolutely hated. I use the 3 if I'm testing something because
I
the
think
4 rattled too much.
I think the Silhouette 3 Cameo might be the best cutter ever invented.
For them, that was one of their best lines.
I and I love the noises it makes when it cuts. It's so loud and so aggressive.
It it sounds like it's going through a mini earthquake,
And
but I feel like if you love making stickers, then this is the machine because you don't have those failed registration marks. And even if you do get an error, we have a true camera, not an optical eye, and I can move my mouse to make the camera move so that it can see the lines. and I still can have success. So let's talk about what I'm going to show. So,
Can I ask you one quick question before we move
and
on?
Bo,
What about like Miriam? She's been using the silhouette, so I'm sure she has files that are in silhouette files. Can you use silhouette files in Caesar, or do they
yes and
not work?
no. So if you have, and that's what I was going to say, if you
Okay.
have Silhouette Business Edition, then you can save any of your files. You can save it as a PNG or you can save it as an SVG, depending on what type of file you've created or working with. Both of those you could then read with a, our software. A Silhouette Studio file, you cannot because it's proprietary just to Silhouette. Just like we have Leonardo files that are proprietary. But if you have Pro Edition, just like Silhouette has Business Edition, our Pro you can save as a PDF, a PNG, a JPEG, and SVG. So several formats. But most people that have Business Edition, they know that. If you love the software, you can create in Silhouette and then bring it over into Arcot or Decut. I have done a little bit of everything because I try to teach and keep up with technology. And Silhouette's going through a new big software change, and so we'll see how everybody fares with that change. But stickers is something that I love, so I thought I would make a little bit different version of a sticker. So what my project is, we're going to talk about heat transfer stickers. So I created a gang sheet and filled it up, and I could use PNG or I could use a built-in file from our software. And then I made it with my sublimation printer, and then I printed to HTV, and now all I would have to do, I could just press that on. So when I say I could just press that on, I'm going to have everybody that doesn't know, Caesar loves our mini tees. So I'm going to change views just real quick and let you see my heat press, and we'll press one real quick, and then I'll talk about.
I was just at the Caesar headquarters last week, and Adam, who's one of my favorites, gave me he supplied me with some T-shirts.
That was sweet of him. So I am heat pressing my shirt right this moment just to get that moisture out. I'm going to throw a little sticker on. Let me move this so that I can cover it with my Teflon, my non-stick cover sheet. And let's press. So let's talk about how I made this. So I'm going to change back over real quick. And Bo, if you can, we get the mini t-shirts. We don't sell them.
I would show you how easy.
Go ahead. Can't hear you, Bo.
Oh, sorry. So Stephanie and I, before this, were talking about how we have so much stuff plugged into our computers, and we have to use our trackpads, and it's horrible. But yeah. Did you want to address the T-shirts before I push play?
We don't sell these, but if you search American Girl dolls, you can find different vendors that have these.
Right, here comes the video.
It is to create stickers in Leonardo.
You took the sound out, Bo.
I don't think I did. I think I paused it.
Okay.
Did I? I don't know what I did. Where is it? Yeah. So what's the video about while I fidget with all this stuff?
And here I thought it was me with technology, Bo. So I'm going to walk them through software.
Where'd the video go? I don't know where the video went. Can we walk up through this way? Maybe if I, yeah, I don't know. You can hear me though, right?
I can hear you. I see it down on my end.
When I push the button, it says that there's no picture. Can you play it?
Let's see. I'm changing out here. Talks amongst yourselves, everybody. As Bo
Yeah,
and
can you
I,
sublimate on Siser heat? I'm sure that you meant heat transfer vinyl, and there are Siser heat transfer vinyl that you can sublimate on. There is a list at CaesarNE.com, I believe. I should get a list up on Conde.com. I'll put that on my list of things to do. But offhand, Glow is the one that you can. Siser also has glitter you can do it on.
glitter, pearl, holographic.
I'm
Hey
not touching
everybody,
anything
I
if it
just
goes.
thought I would show you how easy it is to create stickers in Leonardo. And you can see I've already created some to fill up a page and kind of make a gang sheet. But I thought I would show you how easy it was to make these and then just add other designs into it. So I'm going to go over to my design library and pull in some designs. So I'm just going to use the word retro because that's kind of the vibe that I've been creating. And let's see what pulls in that we might like.
I like those 3D
so let's
glasses.
see. Let's look around and see what feels a little retro to go with those. So let's see. Oh, so many cute things. Let's go with Creative Juice here. So I'm going to pull this one in and open that design. And right now, this is an SVG. So that would be a cut file. Well, I want to turn this into a print file. So you can see I've just kind of moved it off the board just to kind of get my spacing to see where I want to put this. And I'm going to put it here for the moment. And I'm going to add an offset or build a contour around that. So at the bottom is our tools, and I'm going to build a contour. And the first thing it asks me, do I want to do this as a print and cut, which I do. And I'm going to build an offset because I kind of want it to look like a sticker. So let's build a little bit of an offset around it and say apply. And now I'm going to rotate that design, and I'm going to move some things around just so I can fit that in to print. And I want it to go in my registration marks, and that way I was able to fit that in. And let's move this coffee cup over just a little. And let's see, I'm going to grab this strawberry here and move that one around just a little. Let me grab both pieces there. And I've got some little spaces, and so I like to just kind of copy and paste a few things. I'm going to say edit and copy it. And that way I can fill in some space because we like to utilize all that we have. So let's do that little strawberry also. And do that one, edit, copy. And then let's paste that in. But that's, just a quick way to be able to fill some spaces in. So now I have my gang sheet per se, and I want to print this. So I'm going to go over to Send Design, and I want to send all of my artwork over. So I'm going to say send, And Leonardo knows right off that this is a print file. So it says print artwork, and it pulls up my printer so that I'm able to print that. I'm going to actually sublimate these, and we're going to talk about that. So I have it all ready, and I'm going to tell it to send to the printer. And then I'm going to show you the magic of what happens next. So I can't wait to show you that. So thanks for watching this part, and let's see what happens.
So,
Awesome.
with the magic of that, voila, we have a printed file. And how easy was that, everybody? It really is that easy to create that, to print that. So someone had asked about sublimating on vinyl. Yes, you can sublimate on vinyl. You can sublimate on clear sparkle. You can sublimate on holographic. You can sublimate on glitter. You can sublimate on our PSVs, the Starling lines you can sublimate on. And I love pearls, so that's one of my favorite ones to do. We are going to do on this one, I'm going to do rainbow white.
So Stephanie, I just want to say that the beard is still here. I don't know if you guys can't see it for some reason. It's getting a little bit more wisdom in there over the days and years. But as far as sublimating on something, you can sublimate on, the material. If you can sublimate on the material, were you going to do white? I know that is it rainbow white or is it just white?
I did rainbow white.
Okay, so Siser has a whole bunch of different colors of vinyl, and this also goes with shirts and other things. You can sublimate on anything as long as the ink is darker than what you're sublimating on. Right?
Not so you can't sublimate on anything. So I don't want to
No, as long as it's a sublimatable item.
Yes.
So like you guys, I don't know, do you still have coral?
Yeah. Right now, so I did, this one was lemon sugar.
Hold on. There we go.
So the one that I pressed and showed was lemon sugar. And I love doing, so here's the t-shirt with lemon sugar, and I'll show that in a moment. I love doing neon pinks. And since I was talking about this being a sticker, I thought I would show it as on a white background. So you can see right now, I'm just taking that carrier sheet off. So that's all that is. And I will remove that. So now this is just like fabric. So just this would be our version of fabric. It's white fabric. And here is where I printed that earlier. And on my heat press, I have a non-stick cover sheet. Everybody, please note that on my heat press, I have a non-stick, so that way that is not going to stick to a piece of paper. I have it, and I will show you. I'm going to change my view so that you can see exactly how I'm going to set this up. So here we go. We have heat platen, non-stick, glitter, and then I have that sublimation print on top of it. And then I'm going to cover that with a piece of blowout paper. And I'm
just going to say, we have a question on here. And yes, you are sublimating on glitter HTV, Siser glitter HTV.
Correct.
Is what you are sublimating on.
Yes. So Kristen, this is if you went and you bought a sheet and you had it shipped to you. And this is that lemon sugar that I did earlier. So lemon sugar, neon pink, that lime green is beautiful to sublimate on. So all of these that I'm talking about are heat transfer vinyl. It's glitter is the one specifically. And again, on CaesarNA.com, it has all of those listed that you can sublimate on. And I have tried all of them. I love embroidering with them. Last night's live. So the shirt that I have on right now is a disco ball. And I sublimated just an ombre, kind of a rainbow on top of it. So that way you can kind of see. So you can hear the heat press. And I'm going to change the view so that you can see it exactly as it comes off the heat press.
Make sure you go to 920.
So yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
They need to know my secrets, right? So there's my blowout paper. And this is hot, obviously, because it's just been heat pressed. There is that. And now this is sticking to that non-stick. So I'm going to pull that off just so it can cool off. And I'm going to put it onto a mat after it cools off just a little bit. And then I'm going to put it on the cutter so that you can see the magic cutting. But that way you can see here. And I'm letting it cool.
So anybody out there who's done a patch before, a sublimatable patch, this is pretty similar to that. You use the non-stick paper so that the patch doesn't, the adhesive doesn't stick.
Mm-hmm.
And then the
So
adhesive will still work next time.
And I've pulled that off. Now, you know how I say, pay attention to what I say? This is one of those moments. I only use this non-stick for this technique. I don't use it to cover anything else because I don't want, if I had some ink spill over, I don't want to let that get on another project. So I have this one designated just to do this technique with.
So Wendy's asking if Siser sells sticker paper, and would Starling be considered sticker paper?
It would. It is adhesive vinyl. You can't run it through a printer. So if you're asking if it's a printable paper, we don't sell it for. We just sell large format rolls. But we do have sticker paper as far as sticky vinyl. So
and you can get the vinyl right now from us, 12 inches by 5 yards.
And again,
or 10 yards. I'm sorry. I think it's 10. We'll go with 10.
So I'm going to use 922 this time. So here you can see I have this, and here is my registration marks. I want my blade to come over so the camera housing can see that registration mark. So I'm just going to move it over.
The camera is pretty awesome on this thing.
Because
I know with the Cameo 3, it kind of sucks sometimes. Like, why isn't it reading the registration mark? You know, and it would get crazy. But this, you can line it up perfectly.
Well, the difference is the Cameo is an optical eye, and ours is a true camera.
So what's up with that measuring? What's up with your measuring device thing on there?
Well, I use it to try. I'm trying to get my. There we go. I use it so that the camera will zoom in and not keep trying to focus. It works sometimes. So now I have my blade in place. I have my cut settings in place. I'm going to tell it that I'm ready to cut. So I'm going to change here and go over to my software and say send to cutter. And give me just a moment because earlier I unplugged my cutter. There we go. And I'll say okay. And you will see the camera show up on the screen as it reads the registration marks. And now you will see it cutting. And hopefully you see how fast it's cutting.
We have Sprite on here, and I just want to say hi to her real quick. And that I might be going to the River Shack tonight. So do you have your sound turned off right now?
I do not.
Because I don't hear anything.
It's just got a nice little hum.
Are you sure you're really cutting?
I promise I'm really cutting. You'll see in just a moment.
I
And
don't believe
hopefully
you.
it cut all the way through and everything else because I'm live and we'll see.
Yeah. I don't believe you. I don't. It's too quiet. You could sleep while this is going on.
Yeah, well, just imagine my voice after doing, a whole room full of noisy silhouettes versus this. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can see I'm leaving it right here. How did it do? I think everybody should ooh and ah, right?
Yeah, I mean that cut really good. The weeding is super easy. I thought you weren't going to cut on a cutting mat.
I have to cut on a cutting mat. I just didn't use a Siser cutting mat.
Oh, I gotcha.
On this project, I have to cut with it. So let's swap back over here. Technology at its finest. Camera 1, camera 2, and camera 3.
1080.
So, ooh, ah, right? So look. And now all I have to do is, but these are fun. So you could create a bunch of these and you have, kids over, girlfriend's party, and then you could just press. I like these to fix oopses sometimes, but I also like them. So Bo had never heard of. So y'all let me know if you've heard of a hat bar because Bo had never heard of a hat bar. So tell me in the comments if y'all have heard of a hat bar. And I'm going to pull these off my mat.
I'm actually going to Google hat bar right now because I meant to do that earlier.
I don't see everybody's still amazed. I've left them speechless right now, Bo.
So it's a service or space where individuals can customize or create their own unique hats.
Yes.
Typically trucker hats, cowboy hats, or other styles.
There you go.
And it appears that there's some in my area, but I'm not sure if they're really.
There actually is one in your area, Bo. So whatever that store is that's right across from Mobe Beignets, that has it's kind of like several little, you rent space and have your stuff in it. I forget what it's called. I've been there.
One with the arcade in it?
Bar in there. But yeah, they have a hat bar because I was there.
I'll have to check that out. So
you have a hat, like a hat, and you buy the hat, and then they have patches that you can buy. They have like chenille things, you have pins that you can put on it. So this is my version. So now we have these that you could do, and then you just kind of layer them. Some are pressed onto the bill of the hat, and some are pressed up here. So let's see, what would I want to put?
So when you cut these out and have them already like that, you could just put those in baggies.
I just have them in baggies, yes.
And just hang out until you want to use them. So you can pre-cut a whole bunch of them in your shop or
yeah,
those sort of things.
And then if you even wanted to kind of get a little more bougie, you could do an offset and like a strip flock, and then that would give it a little bit more height and dimension also.
Also puff.
Huh?
You could also do puff. That was what I was gonna.
Yeah, you could add some. And so, I have to be different. So I hosted a Converse bar. And so you brought your Converses, and I had all different images, and then we pressed and made stuff for our Converses.
We actually have the Hotronics Converse platen at Conde.com if you want to start decorating up some Converse.
I don't need to know about that, Bo. I don't need to buy another heat press, but now you're going to want to make me have another heat press. So this one I love. It's a cactus and it says hug me. I think that should go right there on the bill of my hat.
Alice is asking, do you need a hat press for the stickers? Alice, if you do, Conde.com is your source for hat presses. We have like 6 models of hat presses at Conde.com. And for the bill of the hat, you necessarily wouldn't need a hat press, I would say. I've never tried to do a what's the part of the front of the hat that you put
This,
what's this area of a hat called?
I don't know.
The front panel
The
of a
front
hat, I
part of the
guess.
hat. Front
I've
part
never
of the
tried to do one of those in a flat heat press.
I actually have done one, and I put a styrofoam ball in here, and then I rolled it to the platen. So I have done that.
But hat presses are great because you can do other things in there with heat transfer vinyl and everything. You're going to look out for seams and stuff like that. You're going to start
Right,
looking at panels on hats, and you're going to say how many panels a hat has. You're probably going to want to find one that has a whole front panel. This hat here has I don't know if you can see it's got the
right.
seam in the front. But with the hat press, you can do things like baby onesies, which we do have a sale going on, Conde.com, Vapor, 25% off all baby onesies right now. But you can do stuff like that and like pet leashes and
I do the
stuff.
inside of my t-shirts. So I create my own labels, and I untack a lot of times and sew things back in. But if I'm heat pressing it, I love, because that curve just lays on the t-shirt so well. So I'll sit there and put my logo and my information using a cap press. I do
Left
patches
chest.
on jeans, and I love the way it'll curve and lock down and do those patches on. So I actually rarely heat press a hat, but I use a hat press a lot.
The thing that I have to remind myself is, and yeah, you can do sleeves, you can do left chest, the back here, little things that add your personal little flair. The thing I always have to remind myself with the hat press is to use less pressure. For
Mhm.
some reason, I always want to Godzilla, pressure, but you got to remember when you're doing sublimation, at least, that you don't need as much pressure.
Well, that is a great topic, and that could be a whole live that we could do. So, pressure. So, you and I are different strengths, right? So,
Well, yeah, you're stronger than me.
and we're different heights. So, both of those things really play into pressure. So, for me, I say if I could, like, if I can do it and just snap it closed with two fingers, that's a light pressure because I just lightly was able to close it. If I can one hand and you hear that click, that's medium. If I'm having to push hard, that's a hard pressure. And if I can put a dollar bill in the corners and lock it and be able to pull it out, that's not enough pressure. So I always say the dollar bill test. If you're not sure how your pressure is, put a dollar bill in it, close it, and if you can pull that dollar bill out, you didn't have enough pressure.
I
That's my
always say
thinking.
that, and I know you're from Tennessee, so I'm gonna pronounce this word correctly for you. I'm really big into wrestling, and if you got to get your traps going and tear your shirt off, to get the press
Yeah,
down, that's way too much pressure.
yeah, you don't need nothing needs that much pressure, and it's wrestling.
It's not wrestling.
So some of
Um,
you may not know that I am in Tennessee. I work remotely for Caesar, and I have the best job in the whole wide world. And I love what I do, and I get to travel and talk about everything Caesar and embroidery and sublimation and bringing all those things together. That's what I
yeah,
love
and
to do.
And Kristen is also saying no show socks, but socks
Mhm,
you can also do. Well, it's a hat press, but I was going to say winter hats. The
mhm.
wool winter hats or whatever. Um, so
Beverly's wanting to know. She wants to
yeah,
purchase a Romeo, but
Beverly really wants to know this, and I was about to ask that.
okay, so you don't have to have Pro. There's some tools that you won't have. The first thing I would ask Beverly is, what do you currently use? Do you use a Silhouette, or do you use a Cricut, or do you use a ScanNCut? That's going to be my first.
Beverly has a Roland, the GX or GS 24, an older one, maybe 10 years old.
Okay.
Um, and she does most of her designing in Photoshop.
Okay. So you can design in Photoshop, and then save that file and then pull it into Leonardo. Leonardo is not going to be finicky and say, we don't want that, I love our software, but it doesn't have every bell and whistle. Our software is just 2.5 years old. Well, they'll be turning 3 in September, I think is the date. So we are babies, and we have come a long ways, and we have tremendous support, and we are constantly upgrading and adding features, but you don't have to have it. If you use Cricut Design Space, unfortunately, you can't save your files from Cricut and be able to pull those into any other cutter. So it's not that it's our cutter, you can't pull it into. That was one of the things that turned me off. If I create something just like I created these files for us today, they're mine. I want to be able to save it. I want to be able to share those if I want to. So I can file, save it as an SVG, and I can hand that file out. Same thing with Silhouette Business Edition. You can download and save. Same thing when you have, design in Photoshop. You can save as, and save that file. Unfortunately, with Cricut, they have it more proprietary to where it saves in the cloud, and you can only use it with Cricut. And Dee, I hate that you missed some, but I love that you support and watch things that I do, and I appreciate you very, very much.
I
And
can't thank
Beverly,
everybody enough for coming each week and thanking and thanking us. No, and supporting us each week in what we do, because I'm right there with Stephanie. I don't know if, to be honest, I don't know if I could survive in the real world, having a real job in a way. Like I don't really feel like I have a real job, because I mess around with crafting stuff and look at crafting stuff, and sublimation, heat transfer vinyl. Most of the people in the industry are pretty awesome to deal with.
yeah.
So yeah, I thank you guys for all supporting us and all of those sort of things. And I definitely want Stephanie to shout out where you can see more of her.
So more of me. So several different things. First of all, on Siser North America, we have a Facebook group. If you haven't joined, please go over to Siser, and that's Siser. It is Caesar like the salad. So go over to Siser North America support group and join there and watch. I do lives there, but I also do lives on my own channel, which is So Stephanie Says, So Stephanie Says, because we all know I have a lot to say, and I typically do lives on Tuesday night. And I love what I do. I love getting to show different ways to use crafting, and I'm always finding another craft, another hobby. I just got a new craft that I was telling Bo. I got a tufting gun. So you're going to see some new things on tufting. And, I like to do what I get to do, and I love traveling and getting to meet a lot of you at trade shows and when I visit resellers. So I appreciate everything that you do and support. And like I said, this is work, but how often do you get paid to get to hang out with Bo and do a live and get to show off some of the great techniques that we have?
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing. And there's no such thing as tufting guns. There is only sublimation supplies. That's all you need to spend your money on. Okay. I'm
Well,
excited
you
about.
could sublimate the yarn, because yarns are polyester, and then you would have custom colors. So I will find a way to pull everything back to sublimation and vinyl.
No, there's a lot of things, and there's sublimatable thread.
Mhm.
Excuse me there. I had something in there. There's sublimatable thread and lace and so many other things you can sublimate. And
They could go back and watch one of our old lives.
Stephanie's always telling me I'm not buying anything unless it makes me money. But
That's right.
you never know if it's going to make you money. Sometimes it's just for fun too, and it's just for a family member or all of those sort of things. So you can have a lot of fun and combine all of this together.
So Beverly says she loves it with embroidery. Last night my live was everything embroidery with HTV. So yes, I love it with embroidery. That's kind of my sweet spot in the company, is that I love embroidery and I love vinyl with it. And I'm going to show off my, if I can,
You're
I'm trying to
probably
find
gonna
it.
you're probably gonna meet Beverly next week or 2 weeks. I don't know what days it ever is, but you're gonna meet Beverly in um in Nashville. She's big into the downtown scene, just so you know, so
Okay.
things could get crazy with Beverly there. But Beverly Stephanie will be in the sewingmachine.com booth. So go
I
see
will
her.
be there.
And anybody else who goes there. I'm 50-50 right now. I'm gonna be there.
So this was I digitized this for last night's live. It needs a little bit of work. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but I was really excited. So this is brick HTV. This is the strip flock. Then we have diamond dust, aurora, and glitter to show all of those. And I'm going to move it closer. Don't pick it apart because it needs a little bit of work. But for my first big digit, I'm proud of it. So that was all embroidery with vinyls. And it will be coming to a denim jacket soon.
I love it. Yeah, Stephanie's got a whole bunch of denim jackets. So if you see her, she's got a new one every day of the week and month and year. But you just said something about brick in there, and whoa. Something I remember pre-COVID was going to the mall and like touching things and fabrics and I don't know, it's just something I enjoy doing. But brick is really satisfying to me to touch. I like the way that that like silicone type feeling
Yeah,
is.
it's a little rubbery.
Yeah.
I I make it. I have a friend that has a sensory child, and I do a design at the bottom of their shirt so that they can literally pet their shirt and feel the brick. And strip. I alternate it with strip flock just for that sensory feel. So it's a
Brick
great
is
use.
Brick is really great, and you see it on a lot of, like, sporting type athletic
Mhm.
fit shirts, like, as the left chest, and I think it's even especially cool if you get a black shirt with black brick, so, like, you can sell it to businesses and stuff, and then, like, that person can wear it on a Friday and then go to the bar at nighttime that night,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like they're in a work shirt, you
To
know?
me, I love as much as I love denim jackets, I love my Converses too. So I love brick on Converses, the way that, plus we have so many great colors. And the fluorescent pink is just, I love that color. Love it, love it.
We could do a whole live on brick, I think, actually, we could do a whole live on every material that Caesar has.
True, we could. The people that are commenting, they have no idea between the two of us the knowledge that's here. So this is your chance. Ask questions, type away.
Yeah, and you can always here, I'll put this up too. If you have any questions, in the future watching this, here's my email address. You can email me anytime, bo@conde.com about Caesar, the cutters, the material, what's going on with them and all that, bo@conde.com. Email me, we can talk about things. And I'm not very salesy, to be honest with you. So
And one of our favorite people just chimed in that said we're two of her favorite people. So Nikki is in the comments. So hey, hey, and I have missed you and hope that you're getting settled. That's all I'm
yeah, yeah,
getting.
hopefully everything is. And one of these days, maybe we can meet in the middle at the beach.
I'm always for meeting in the middle at the beach. And Sprite loved your avatar. I love that one. I hadn't
Yeah,
seen that one.
you haven't seen that one? So, I don't know. I'm big into video games. I've got my Switch here. I was playing before this live, and I was playing this game called The Messenger, and that's kind of what the style was for it. But the
Okay.
game was too hard and too brutal, and hurt my thumb playing it, so I stopped playing it. We should all go to the beach sometime. I'm particular to the Gulf. I feel like it's calmer, and you get um I might make people angry about this. I'm more particular to the Gulf than like the East Coast or the West Coast. Um, I
I
like
love
the
Biloxi. I love that area. I love
I
Biloxi.
feel like the water's clearer. I wanted to say cleaner, clearer. Biloxi's still a pretty big. It's still pretty churny and brown over there.
Okay.
It, and I know Sprite and I one time we were in the Pirate Cove area fishing, and I was thinking about this the other day about how she made me touch a fish, and that was I'm terrified of fish. So you guys are learning things about me and how the water is so brown and not clear there, and there are snakes, alligators, and sharks all at the same time possibly in that water. So
Because
it was
it's
kind of
brackish.
scary.
It's brackish water, so you have
Yeah,
several
brackish.
things
Yeah,
mixing together. Yep.
yeah,
I I love to scuba dive, so I'm always going to try to choose clear water. I went to clear water and scuba dived. Guess what? They do not have the clearest water. So I'm with you. I don't want it to be sluggy. I want to be able to
yeah,
see the things that are coming towards me to give myself a chance. Imagine the shirt that we could create if we all went to the beach.
yeah. And, they are sinking that ship somewhere over here. It's actually I think it's the USS New York or USS America or something. It's an old-timey ship that kinda looks
Mhm.
like the Titanic. We could go scuba diving because they're gonna make it into a reef.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, Bo, it's Friday. It's almost quitting time.
yeah.
I'm almost done with my cup of coffee.
I finished mine. So yeah, it's thank you for Stephanie for coming on. Thank you for doing this. Caesar, thank you, Team Caesar, for being out there doing amazing things. We got Brett out there being Brett. There's also Patrick Ali, PB's doing stuff. We got Tracy, who is just amazing. Like there's so many great people at Caesar just, pulling up the rear there and
And
holding the fort down.
most of the team is in Vegas right now. So that
Mm.
was I was at another event and I'm at another one this weekend. So I didn't have to make that flight this time, even though I miss being with the team. I have done 4 lives this week, so
There's
I'm
there's
holding up the team.
there's always another time to go to Vegas.
There's always another time to go to Vegas.
It's probably already hot there.
It is. And Bo, hopefully you'll decide to come to Nashville. And Beverly, be sure to come by and see me at sewmachine.com booth. I will be doing embroidery and vinyl and embroidery and vinyl. So come check it out and hang out with me and introduce yourself. I love getting to meet everybody. And again, everybody that watches and follows, thank you so much. Can't say how much we all appreciate it because every view makes a difference.
It does, it does, it does. Even, if you're just coming on here just to watch us, that is enough support.
Mm-hmm.
So don't feel any pressure. Conde.com.
Caesar North America.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to play the outro video. I think I'll be live next week. We'll find out. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for everything. And we will see you guys in the future.